but it is Josh Jacobs, and he probably will be the Packers' offense in this next game. He's going to be a huge factor for them, right, in trying to take the pressure off of Jordan Love against one of the most talented teams overall in the NFL, in the Philadelphia Eagles. We've been giving Nick Sirianni a hard time all year, but we've got to at least give them their flowers in that they have, in the second half, they have ironed out some of these kinks that we were worried about to begin with, some of these questions, and they look like a hot team right now. If Jalen Hurts is healthy, which, a concussion is, it's a scary injury, but it's not like it's a muscle tear or even a strain that should affect. If he's good to go, it should just be a thumbs up and he's ready to play. And if Jalen Hurts is playing, if Devontae Smith is able to play, if A.J. Brown is able to play, and Saquon Barkley, if they're all able to play, I don't think in games where they've all been able to start and play through the whole game, I don't know if the Eagles have lost this year. I think they're just such a talented team from top to bottom. In a conference in the NFC where, there aren't that very many hyper talented teams. You've got the Lions, but then beyond them, it seems kind of like a crapshoot as to who is really the true second best team. I think that the Eagles are almost, if not just as talented as the Lions. I've got a lot of faith in them. Spoiler, they're going to be my pick from the NFC to make the Super Bowl. So I do like the Eagles in this game, and I think a big part of that is going to be the question of Jordan Love's health, but also just their ability to impose their will at home against a team that, Bears fans know it better than anybody. If you lose to the Bears, you got some serious problems, and that's what the Packers just did this past week. Malik Willis was obviously playing the majority of that game. They took Josh Jacobs out at halftime, but there were some serious concerns, especially on special teams for the Packers, where it felt like they were sleepwalking through that game. They're going to need to be on point against the Eagles if they want to have a chance, I would say. And Vic Fangio has made a career out of, making quarterbacks like Jordan Love confused and make them make mistakes. So, yeah, I have a lot of faith in the Eagles overall as a team, provided they're healthy. And I think this is going to be a big win for the Eagles. I think they very well may win this game handily.
Hey,
what are your thoughts on this?
Mike, go ahead. My thought is, I think the way that the Packers are going to win this, if they can, I'm going to take the Eagles. I think just all around, they're a better team. I think there's concern coming in. Jordan Love got knocked out of the Bears game with an elbow injury. I think it's going to come down to, you're going to have to find success on the ground with Josh Jacobs against what is not a favorable matchup against that Eagles defensive line. It would help if they could find some success on the ground early, I think. I think that's what opens up Jordan Love. But, let's see what this elbow injury is going to have. He's not going to have Christian Watson in this game, likely. I think one line.
Torn ACL, yeah, he's out.
Okay, torn ACL, yeah, he's done. So I like what I love is Jaden Reed over receptions for this game. I think he's going to be peppered with targets because they're going to need to get the ball out somehow. How the Eagles can win, I think, is, if Jalen Hurts is healthy, and I think he is, there's no way that they don't play him in this game. You're not going to go into this game with Kenny Pickett. You'll call play action. You'll call a lot of shotgun plays where he's not having to put as much pressure on his knee. I think what it comes down to, how are they going to stop? My question is, how are they going to stop Saquon Barkley to win this game? I think even with a hampered Jalen Hurts, they're going to be able to dominate this game on the offensive side of the ball. And then that's going to come down to possession, like time of possession, with Saquon Barkley being able to exploit them with big runs. I mean, and shout out Nick Sirianni. I think everyone in Philly put him on the hot seat.
You put him on the hot seat. What are you talking about?
No,
you were the number one Nick Sirianni hater earlier this year.
We all did. I was giving Philly a voice. They all did.
I'm still a Nick Sirianni hater.
Play meat shields. There is still legitimate beef with him, but they're 12-1 since the end of September. But it's Philly. I think. Yeah, I mean, it's now or never for him. I mean, only because it's Philly. I think Philly wins this. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure in Jordan Love's face. I think. Yeah, I mean, you put the front seven of the Eagles up against the front seven of Green Bay. It's just if Christian Watson's not going to play, how are you going to be able to move the football down the field? They're going to rely a lot on Josh Jacobs. I think if you stack the box against them, where does the offense come from? It's going to be Jordan Love making a hero ball play. There's too many stars on the defensive side of the ball that led the league in yards allowed, second in points for the Eagles. I think they're set up for a Super Bowl. They're my pick for it.
To your point, Mike, just on Philly's defense real quick. And I'm sure everybody's heard me talk about Vic Fangio highly. I think I'm probably one of the biggest Vic Fangio fans out there, if you can be a fan of a DC. Now Philly leads the league in the rate of lightest boxes played. They never stack the box, and they don't need to because their defensive line and their front seven is so good. Now in this game, I think what makes things tough for Green Bay is, and I know we talked about it too, about Jordan Love's elbow injury against the Bears. When I was watching him throwing the ball on the sideline, he was doing the whole Brock Purdy in the NFC Championship game type movements with that hand, where it looked like he was having trouble gripping the football. So again, you don't know how healthy he is. There's no Christian Watson. And to that point about the light boxes that Philly plays, I think Vic Fangio is smart enough to know that tendency might switch up this week. And you guys touched on it with Josh Jacobs. I don't see Josh Jacobs having a lot of success this week, especially if Jordan Love can't throw the ball down the field, and that team's lacking kind of some downfield burst without Christian Watson. So I think Philly's defense is set up to have a very, very good day this weekend. And as far as the offense for Philly goes, look, it kind of feels like more of the same for Green Bay's defense. They've always kind of struck me as an average defense, and I think Philly will do enough offensively, even if they've got to play. Because Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol, correct? I don't know if anybody's looked into that or not. Is he still in the protocol?
He is out. I believe he is still questionable technically on Monday.
Okay.
Per Monday.
Okay. I mean, even if they had to trot out somebody else, I still think with the weapons that they could have success against Green Bay. One thing to note on Saquon Barkley for props is Green Bay ranks 28th in receiving yards given up to running backs. So if you think that maybe they'll stack the box against Saquon Barkley, he might not have as much success running the football. He might have some success catching it. So I would look for some Saquon Barkley props receiving wise for him. But I'm with you guys. I see a very dominant Philly defense in this one, just based off all the headwinds for Green Bay.
And when you look back at, I mean, they played the Brazil game. Saquon Barkley had 109 rushing yards. I mean, obviously, it's a very different scenario coming into this. Their run defense has gotten better, throughout the season. But
hard to use week 2 as a data point, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I think, there's no Jair Alexander versus AJ Brown or Devontae Smith, and
It's another great point.
that's where I think. And he, I mean, AJ Brown toasted him week one. Like it, I think there's too much. I think there's too much talent on the offensive side of the ball. I think Philly runs away with it.
So right now the total or the spread's at 4.5 Philly. I mean that's basically saying Philly's 3 points, 2.5 points better than Green Bay on a neutral. With how much headwinds Green Bay is facing, I'm very tempted to lay that with Philly 4.5.
What's that line? That's with Kenny Pickett? Realistically,
No, I think
Jalen. Vegas must.
Everyone knows Jalen's going to play. I think they know.
Yeah, but he hasn't. When has he last actually played though?
Per Shady McCoy. Speak for yourself.
But like, when has he actually practiced though? You know what I mean?
Oh, I don't know if he practiced today.
So it's like, okay,
it's something to keep an eye on.
And
Jordan Love's banged up too, though. I mean, let's not forget that. Like, I don't know. If you're talking, give me Kenny Pickett with the offensive weapons on Philly versus Malik Willis with that depleted. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It kind of feels like a wash to me.
That changes everything, but
Jordan Love playing with a sore shoulder, sore elbow is different than Jalen Hurts not being cleared by concussion protocol to play the game. If that happens,
he was cleared.
I think I think he's gonna. He either has been cleared or will be cleared. Here's where
he
practiced today, and here's where you can just break it down to elementary. You give only. Where is the pressure going to come from? It's going to come from Rashawn Gary. And you're going to have Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata up there. Give me Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata against the one legitimate pass rusher that they have on the defensive side of the ball for Green Bay.
They've been doing a lot with Edgerrin Cooper, the rookie.
I like how he's been playing.
They've been trying to get him involved more.
He's the best linebacker in the rookie class.
And so they're definitely, and Xavier McKinney, Roll Tide, obviously, is playing as like one of the best free safeties in the NFL, if not the best. So they're obviously stars on that Packers defense. I don't want to dismiss the unit out of hand. But once again, I think similar to my pick on the AFC side, I think with the Bills, it's like when you have this much deep talent throughout your entire team, playoff experience, battle-tested, I like the Eagles a lot in this playoffs. And having Saquon Barkley is maybe the number one X factor with that as well.
And I think one point I'll make, Pat, is I think the reason I think it's 4.5 right now is because of the questions behind Jalen Hurts. I think if you anticipate him to play, that's going to jump up to 6.5, 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I really think so.
Yeah, I might place the wager right now at 4.5 because if anything, I'm gonna get at my original handicap, which is I don't see success for Green Bay's offense in the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I go with something like a Josh Jacobs under, depending on what that number ends up being. Sorry, Pat, we're not Roll Tide this week for him. I just think Vic Fangio.
You're never going to have to say sorry on a Packers under. Absolutely not.
Packers team total under and Philly might be my two picks from this game. I just think I'm so high on Fangio as a DC, and as much shit as I give Nick Sirianni, which I think this team might be better off with just two co-head coaches, and Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, and just take Sirianni out of the equation. But in any case, look, I think Fangio is going to have a plan for Josh Jacobs, and there's nobody really else on Green Bay that worries me if Jordan Love can't push the ball down the field since his elbow's hobbled.
And shout out to Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio being able to literally the people who are propping up both sides of the ball on there. I mean, they're not getting the flowers. Or the only talk is Sirianni going to be able to do it? But the guys are actually calling the plays and making it happen on the field. I mean, they're not going to be in this cycle. Let's see it next year. I would not be surprised if Kellen Moore. Actually, no, not Kellen Moore. I would not be surprised if Vic Fangio lands one next year. Not next year, the year after. Head coaching job.
We'll see.
Yeah.
What do you think, Christian?
I think you all said the right point. Like, I agree with all those points, but just want to shout out like how the Packers constructed their roster. I think all of the guys who are down right now are instrumental to this team. So they are playing without some key contributors. But if you look at, the holes that they have in this game, in this match, they did a great job in the draft and free agency to build out this roster. Right now, I think the most exploitable guy on the offense for the Packers is their center, Josh Myers. And I think the loss of Jordan Morgan, their first round pick this year, who's been playing at guard, I think that's really going to cost them in this game. Because I think if Elgin Jenkins slid to center and you had Jordan Morgan out there, I think you'd have a little bit more of an advantage in this game. But I think that defensive front of Philadelphia is going to dominate, specifically the center and right guard against Green Bay. And then Jair obviously being down is a big deal. But then Edgerrin Cooper, they did a great job scouting him, getting him. I just love everyone they drafted. Evan Williams has been a really terrific player. And then obviously the receivers 2 years ago, you just got to respect how they built out this roster. And yeah, they might be a year away, but it's a really good, great constructed roster.
We'll see. It's no secret that I have serious questions about Jordan Love's ceiling as a quarterback, and I legitimately do think that Matt LaFleur is a top 5 coach in the NFL, and that Jordan Love is holding him back at this point. Yeah. And if he can get a quarterback, go for it, Christian.
This injury, you said, you mentioned Brock Purdy, Turtle, but the injury also happened to Mariota, which LaFleur was there when Mariota went down in Tennessee. They had to go to Tannehill. So if anyone knows how to manage it, I think LaFleur would be able to.
Yeah, that's a great point too. I mean, and LaFleur's done a great job, I think, just in general, when Jordan Love's missed time this year. Not saying he's going to miss this game, but you talk about scheming Malik Willis into favorable spots. I mean, LaFleur's up there with the Kevin O'Connells and Sean McVays of the world, where they just find a way to get the most out of whoever's under center and whatever limitations they have. And if Jordan Love is limited in any way in this game, if one guy is going to put together a game plan to scheme around that, it'd probably be LaFleur. It's going to be a great chess match between him and Fangio for sure.
We'll see. It'll be a great chess match until Jordan Love flips the table with a back-breaking turnover at the end of the game.
A little flutter ball.
That'll be the end of the
elbow.
fun chess match. Yeah.